the founder of something called the Real Economy Lab that I'll explain in a little moment. And I do a few other things. I'm a fellow of the New Economics Foundation. I'm a fellow and a research fellow of the Democracy Collaborative, and I am the founder of a community bank in the United Kingdom. So that's me. Who wants to go next? Cedric?
Okay, I'm Cédric Dupart. I'm working in a mouvement pour l'économie solidaire Occitanie in France, Toulouse. And I work for the Transformative Economies Lab project since 3 months.
Great. Who's next?
Andrea, if you want.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning. I'm Andrea from Barcelona, working from RIPES and the World Social Forum of Transformative Economies, and also working for this project with Cedric, Jules, and Jason.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jason. I am from Florence in Italy. I'm part of RIPES, which is the intercontinental network that promotes social solidarity economy.
So just an information, so the video is recorded, so it's okay. If anybody has a problem about that, just tell us now. And if not, maybe Jules, you can start the presentation.
Okay, great, fine, I'll do that. So I'm just going to present very briefly the Real Economy Lab for people, which is something we created a few years ago. It's still in beta form, really, and the idea with the Real Economy Lab is a group of us got together and we were kind of saying, you know, where do we go to understand everyone who's active in the next economy, the real economy, around the world, and what they're doing and why they're doing it and how they're doing it and how they interact. And we realized there was nowhere to do that, so we built the Real Economy Lab to help understand that. I'm going to show a video which explains the functionality of the lab in a moment. But this is what we'll see. It's basically a visualization of data. Effectively, what we did for this initial map that I'm going to show you now, and then Cedric will explain a new map we're developing, is we went out to a number of organizations. You can hopefully see them here: Smart CSO Lab, the Net System Project, Natural Capitalism, B Corps, the Global Eco Village Network, P2P Foundation. So people will be very familiar with these organizations. We went out to them and we asked them to fill in a survey. That's the first thing they do. So they tell us who they are. They tell us, you know, are they not-for-profit? Are they academic? Are they a co-op? They can click a number of these boxes. Are they working on a local level, a regional level, a national level, international or global? What are the primary focuses of their work? Is it around money? Is it around food, commerce, governance, diversity, and so forth? Which sectors are they trying to influence? So are they trying to influence the banking sector, or are they trying to influence local government, for instance? Then in terms of their sort of ultimate outcomes of their work, is it mostly focused on environmental issues, on inequality, or democracy, or other issues? So what else? We asked them to say, what are the outputs of their work? So is it new thinking? Is it research? Is it engaged citizens? Is it media coverage? So you get the idea. We asked them for all these sorts of issues. We asked them whether they're doing this with, you know, are they particularly interested in reduction of economic growth, in restricting capitalism, advancing new technology, and so forth. So basically, people fill in all this form that then gets tagged in a database, each of these issues. The data is then extracted and put into a mapping. And I'm now going to just run you through a very quick video we've created which explains how the map works.
Welcome to the Real Economy Lab survey results. The purpose of this walkthrough is to give you a little introduction to the Kumu platform, which is what you see right here. Data visualizes it, as well as our data set itself, so that you can explore it on your own and be prepared to do that. So I'm going to give a quick overview of what.
Okay, I think someone is talking.
A survey that we designed.
Okay. In English.
Different dimensions about different organizations that they could fill out and specify. You can see in our bottom right-hand corner here.
Sorry, I think English.
Sorry, wait a minute.
I don't know the name of the person.
Scroll over.
Maybe you can mute your microphone.
Who's that?
I don't know the name. The surname is English, so I don't know.
You can hear someone's voice, can you?
Yeah, but okay. I don't have the name. I will ask.
Okay. You can you hear Benjamin presenting this on the video? I'm just going to keep going if that's all right.
These RESTful data, you can focus in and see only the relationships that they have. Okay, so these are our entities. Each organization.
Yes, but it's very low.
It's like political economic paradigm.
Say again?
The volume is really low. I don't know if there's any way to.
I don't know. Let me try that. Wait a minute.
Additional research and support that they need. Primary service that they offer. Primary outputs.
Excellent.
Create.
Can you restart it?
This data. Hi, and welcome to the Real Economy Lab survey results. The purpose of this walkthrough is to give you a little introduction to the Kumu platform, which is what you see right here, which stores all of our data and visualizes it, as well as our data set itself, so that you can explore it on your own and be prepared to do that. So I'm going to give a quick overview of what we've done. The data here comes from a survey that we designed that contains a bunch of different dimensions about these different organizations that they could fill out and specify. You can see in our bottom right-hand corner here, what we have is we have different entities. So you can scroll over these, the rest will dim. You can focus in and see only the relationships that they have. Okay, so these are our entities, each organization. These are our attributes, things like political economic paradigm, things like additional resource or support that they need, primary service that they offer, primary outputs that they create. So we've collected this data in order to be able to go a layer deeper towards understanding the clusters and the patterns that exist within the new economy landscape. First, I'll go into the tool a little bit. This is Kumu. It enables you to do what are called graph visualizations and analysis. Analysis gives you things like how similar is one thing to something else. We, of course, have a short description that has some of the information that I'm telling you right now as well. But what you can do is if there's a particular topic or a particular entity that you're interested in, click on it. What you'll be able to see is a description of that entity plus all the data that came from their survey. So you can explore each of these entities like this. It's also visible on the map, as you see right here. So down at the bottom left, you see that we have a key source. That just gives us a color code for the different attributes of the organizations and entities. So Kumu is fairly simple on the surface layer. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can zoom to fit. And down here, you have some of the more meaningful ways to work with this map. One thing you can do is filter. So why don't I take out everything but explicit position, but explicit position and organization type. When I update it, I just see those. Now, hold on a second, I forgot my organizations. So I want to bring in the actors. You always want to have the actors selected as part of this. There we go. Now what I can see is I can see only, I can see with a little bit more clarity, just focusing in on a couple of key elements. What are the ones that consider themselves to fall under the explicit position of restricting capitalism? Of course, you can do many different filtering. I can go right up here, include all, updates, and I've got my entire data set back, right? Another thing you can do is focus. If I would just like to see what the Economy Project and the People-Centered Economic Development have in common, I can multi-select using Shift. And then what I can do is I can say, just focus directly around these two. Immediately, we get a view of what they have in common, as you can see right here. These are all the things that they don't have in common. So this is a way that we can actually explore the interrelationships between the maps, between the different entities. If I clear the focus, I have all my data there once again. So let's try that again. Well, this time we'll do 3. Let's do People-Centered Development, the Economy Project, and let's try Sustainable Economies Law Center. Scan, focus, direct. And now what I can see is that I have a small cluster of things that both have in common, that Economy Project and People-Centered Economic Development have in common. There's another small cluster here that they also have in common. This is where it gets interesting. We see there's a lot of connections between the Economy Project and the Sustainable Economies Law Center. But as well, there's a middle space where all 3 of these have in common. The means of building new business models, the output of vibrant communities, work as a work area, post-capitalist as a political economic paradigm, commons-based as a political economic paradigm, and community-based. So again, this is how we can explore what different organizations may have in common with one another. So we'll go ahead and clear this. And now we're back to our big data set. There's also a way to explore the network, not through the organizations or actors themselves, but through their attributes. So let's try something. What we're going to do first is filter. So I'll include them. I'll turn on actors, turn on primary outputs and explicit positions. And let's narrow down our selection to that. Great. So now I'd like to select a couple of those. So let's select engage citizens as a primary output, as well as addressing climate change. Now what I can do here is I can simply see what those 2 have in common. So in order to do this, I'll go and choose direct focus. Now I can see only what those 2 connect to. What's interesting about this is now I can actually select those which I know have both in common. What I'm starting to get into here is to understand patterns and clusters of similar attributes. In other words, do these organizations, do these actors have things in common together, or rather, do these attributes have organizations in common? And do those form tribes? Do those form communities? What does that look like? Now that I've selected all of the organizations which have both addressing climate change and engaged citizens in common, what I can do is clear my focus. And with those same selected, I can go ahead and see the direct connections. So now what I'd like to do, right now I'm seeing all their outputs and all of their explicit positions. But remember, we're still filtering, so let's bring everything else in. So once we do that, then we can start to see what they have in common as a whole. You see that resources is a need those two have in common, but the means of support for sharing and resource conservation is shared by 3 of them. The next step in this process to get to deeper insights is to understand, through network analysis, what are the most common attributes that this tribe, we'll call it a tribe for the moment, shares. To do that, we use something that Kumu provides that are called metrics. So we're going to use a very simple metric at this stage. What we want to know is simply how many connections does each of them element have. Okay, so this is going to give us those connections, those attributes that have in those connections. So if we go ahead and do that. Of course, who's going to have the most? Well, each of the organizations itself. So those are going to fill our top 7 attributes. But once you get beyond that, you start to see we have 7 organizations here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, what we can see is that they all have environment in common, engaged citizens in common, addressing climate change, and funding financial assets as an additional resource and support that they need. Beyond that, almost all of them have global reach, and 5 out of 7 are focused on an output of policy and recommendations. 5 out of 7 are also nonprofits. So this only tells us so much, that as we start to iterate on this process, what we start to emerge or surface are patterns. So we hope this gives you a short introduction to Kumu and to our data set. We'll be releasing more walkthroughs that go into more detail about how we actually surface these patterns, as well as our own analysis of what we're seeing within these networks.
There we go. Hopefully that was helpful. So it gives you a bit of an introduction. It's quite a complex tool, as you can see. So it's only for those who are not faint-hearted, really want to dig in. And it's as I said, it's an experimental tool. It needs improvement, but I think you can get the sense of the power of what these sorts of tools can do. So I guess maybe I'm handing over to Cedric now, and you're going to explain, specifically what's being done around the Transformative Economies initiative.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Jules, for your presentation. It was very rich. Maybe, I don't know, but maybe Jason, you could introduce with the idea of collaborate with Real Economy Lab. I don't know if you hear me.
Yes, of course I hear you. Let me put the video on. Here I am. I'll just give you a few words of context and why we have thought of expanding or using the methodology and the tools that Real Economy Lab had developed to look at what we call transformative economies, which in a sense are very similar to the real economy concept, Whereas if you look in the website that Cedric put on the chat of the Real Economy Lab, you will see there's what they call tribes, the different tribes of movements and organizations or networks that are working on alternative economic practices, initiatives, systems. The Transformative Economies Forum is trying to bring together a number of these and to allow for a space of discussion, of interaction, of dialogue, and of seeing where they can find common grounds and ways of working together. Because many times they even don't know they're working on the same thing or on a similar issue. And many times they define things with different words, but they are indicating pretty much the same thing. So tools that allow to have a larger comprehensive vision of who are the actors, what are they working on, how do they interact, etc., are essential if we want to really strengthen the links and the collaborations that can emerge from spaces like the Transformative Economies World Social Forum and others that are many these days are coming out all over in different parts of the world, online, offline, and in all different ways. So we need to map our territories, but we also need to map our concepts and to map the way that we relate to each other. So a mind mapping exercise with sophisticated tools as the one that has been presented is something that goes in that direction and that could really help. And as we are trying to work with different groups that are using different tools to map, but mapping is not just a geographical sort of representation or exercise. Mapping has a lot of other implications. We can map concepts, we can map relations, we can map really a lot of things. So we need a multitude of tools, a toolkit where you can choose the tools that you need at that moment and popularize them as much as possible. And I'll end this by saying that there's this group, this commission, or however we want, committee, whatever we want to call it, that has been working before and during this forum, and hopefully after, which is sharing a bit of these tools. The idea is that, for instance, the registered participants of this forum, which now are almost 2,000, can be contacted and share their information in a tool like this, and then they will be able to use it and see where they are positioned with respect to specific themes they're working on, with respect to other organizations they might contact and start working together. So it could really be a useful tool for that. Cedric, your microphone.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you for your introduction. So now I will present the Transformative Economies Lab project. We are working on that with Andrea Rodriguez. So it's very interesting also because it's a European project because Jason is in Italy, I'm in France, Andrea is in Barcelona, Jules is in England. So it's very good cooperation about that. So I will share my screen. You will see. Okay. Okay. So, do you see it? Okay. So, here you can see the different partnership with this project. So, Real Economy Lab for sure is a Jules project. So we presented MetaMaps, tools to create some open map. So it's also in the idea to open the internet, open source, and to create commons. The tree at the center, you can see it's Kumu. Kumu is a platform where there is the complex mind mapping that we saw just before on the video. I will come back after to that. MES, Mouvement pour l'économie solidaire Occitanie, is a network of solidarity economy in France and in Occitanie in the south, where I'm employee, and Repes Europe. So it's a European organization of solidarity economy, which is a part of the World Social Forum of Transformative Economies. So this project is part of the mapping group of World Social Forum of Transformative Economy. So the idea was to connect and to understand the different link between every organization who take part in the forum, but not only that. We are also open to every organization who think they are part of the project of transforming the economies. So it's very open, and I put the links of the survey, and if you want to answer it and to share it, it will be very, very good. So the survey is on the World Social Forum forum page on the platform Decidim. So Decidim is also a website trying to connect people and to create a lot of different tools to create a survey. Like here, for example, we create survey, we can create a debate, we can create a lot of different ways to connect people and to create democratic organization. So we choose to create it on this website because it's very coherent with our project. So I put the link also in this page, and the particularity of our project, there are different languages, so you can switch to English to French, from English to French, or Spanish, or Italian, or Catalan. So okay. So we are now working on that. We don't have we didn't finish every answer, or not just arrive. So we are still working on that, and I will show you some sample answers just to present you the idea of some organization. So, for example, in the outputs, when we ask the question, or what's the outputs of your organization? For example, here, just copy some answer of our organization. So it can be empowered individuals, effective governance, new thinking and theory, services, financing or funding, common resources, new legal structure, new technologies or products. Or just an example, but it can to have a best idea of what kind of question is it. There is a question about what are the leverage points to achieve the outcomes. So, for example, some answer was democratizing capital and wealth, building new business model, developing individuals' capabilities, cooperation, reciprocity, and solidarity. improving access to information knowledge, building new business model, investing in long-term solution. And another question is the organization as an explicit position generally in favor of a movement? Can be regulation of trade and markets, addressing climate change, diminishing consumption, creating non-capitalist ecosystem, restricting capitalism, advancing appropriate technologies, subordinating the profit motive, enabling information freedom. And okay, and another one is they're taking part of a movement or theory. Theory is like climate justice, community-based, localist, rewilding, earth-based, spiritual ecology. So for example, I never heard about a spiritual ecology or rewilding, but I'm glad with that survey we discovered some new movements. Other one is participatory economics, solidarity economy, circular economy, anarchist. Another one is community-based localist, participatory economics. So you can it's a very little sample of some answer, but just to show you, to highlight what kind of answer do we have, and the idea of the project is to create the connection between the different way to think and to transform the economies. So here I'll show you a sample of the database. So for example, we have this organization who also answered. You can see they are in different continents. They are in Africa, in Europe, in United States, in South America. Okay, so the idea is to be everywhere in the world as possible. And to finish, the idea is to mapping the database. So we are working on that now. We are from the database to transfer it in Kumu. So Kumu is a platform for the mind mapping, and now we are actually working on that. And it's, I think, something a bit more difficult because Jules, if I remember, your project is only in English, and our project in different languages, as I said. So it's more complex to create every connection with different languages, but we are working on that, and that's the aim of that, to gather every project on this mind map. So it's okay for me. Andrea, if you want to continue.
Okay, thank you very much for your interventions. Good morning, everybody. It is a pleasure for me to be here with all of you, even though circumstances has stolen from us the magic of the physical event. Well, so as not to repeat too much the interventions of my colleagues, I would like to take a more general and even more philosophical reflection on the usefulness of this type of maps in general. I believe that the main objective, as my colleagues have said, is not only to make the existing initiatives visible, but also to multiply the links and the interrelations in order to make these alternatives emerge. So in other words, the objective is to contribute giving visibility to the social solidarity economy, as well as to the solution that it provides and that occupy the entire spectrum of the economic sphere in its vocation to satisfy the needs of the populations, responding to needs of all types, such as food, health, education, culture, housing, access to water and land, energy or protection of the environment, etc. I believe that this type of map is important to weave strong links around actors with different interests, but who are sharing the same place of life and thus favoring the long-awaited change of scale. But not only that, this type of map facilitates the exchange of knowledge and allow us to learn about social innovation initiatives and allow us to find out who and how they participate and even what problems and obstacles they encounter and how they are overcome it. Something very interesting about this ambitious project is that I think it allows us to move from the local to the international level very easily, which I think is one of the most important issues of the international relations as a discipline. And finally, what seems to me to be most important is that the results of this research will allow us to reflect on the characteristics and peculiarities of these experiences. That is to say, it allows us to reflect on what and how we are doing it in order to achieve a more sophisticated intervention on societies. Also, for me, the magic of this type of map is that it allows us to continue dreaming, to continue fighting and building other possible worlds, because it makes us to see that we are not alone. I mean, there is a lot of resistance. I believe that this map is then an exercise in recognizing resistance and a scene that other societies free of neoliberalism, racism, homophobia, machismo are possible, that other forms of relating to nature, other forms of exchange, other forms of relating to the global north and south are possible. So finally, I also would like to say that we have a great challenge in carrying out this project. Among other things, and what seems to me to be most important, and at the same time most difficult to achieve, is that the challenge of reaching initiatives on the African or Asian continent. I mean, realities more distant from our own. On the other hand, also the challenge of developing an adapted questionnaire that includes the cultural difference. And finally, the challenge of making the invisible ones visible, that is to say, showing the initiatives carried out by women, by racialized people, by disabled people, etc. I think that for them and with them is the luxury of exploring and creating other possible worlds, and which I think it is also the heart of the World Social Forum of Transformative Economies. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Andrea. Thanks a lot. I think now we finished the presentation of the project. So now, if you have some question, if you want to talk, to debate, or as you want, you can. I saw Jack, you're writing in the conversation. If you want to ask question or to talk about what you think of that project, it's free to you.
Ah, thank you. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working on a project, what I call the New Paradigm Project, for, well, in a certain sense, for 40 years, thinking about how we put together a better world. And a major part of that is a huge database of who's doing what, who needs what, who's making what, and on and on. And the database you're putting together and the mapping, I see is absolutely essential if we're going to have any kind of success. Because if we really want a better world, we want change on a substantial long-term basis, then we are going to have to put out alternative reality and economy that can stand up to the powers that be, because they don't want what we want, and we can't stand up to them alone. So, well, I don't want to go on and on. I just want to say that I think that what you are putting together here it's just a huge piece to the puzzle that needs to be put together, and I want to stay in touch. And can you put in the chat a way to stay in touch, or is all the information already there?
Yes, okay. I will. Maybe with the link I put just before, you have every information, and I will give you an address. Yes, Andrea just wrote it. There is the address of the project, telle.lab, and if you can keep in touch, you can send an email.
Can I ask a question? Just of
Yes.
Jack. So do you have, is that data in a database? Is that something that we might use to include in the surveys we've done here and to visualize?
To visualize our Kumu?
I'm talking to Jack.
Sorry, Jack.
Well, I mean, I don't really have a database like that. I mean, I have a list of organizations that I think are useful, but I don't really have a major database.
Great.
But if I keep in touch, I would like to be able to feed you stuff. If I come across things that you maybe don't have, I would do that.
And do you have organization contact details for a lot of those organizations?
Yeah, I do.
So what we could do is we could send them a link to the survey and show them, and if they're interested, they could fill in the survey. Yeah.
Right. And also, you are doing things with the Global Eco Village network.
No, they're just one of the organizations who filled in the original survey.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. One more question. Just are you? I'm in tune with Ecolease.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Well
yes.
then. Oh.
I can answer on that. Jason here. Yes, we are with REPES Europe, and we're working on several different levels. One is on the research and on the movement weaving part with the group that is working on that, and we're looking probably next year to work on a common project on that.
Okay. Thank you.
So do we have other question or intervention? I saw Yasuaki. We saw your face. Do you want to talk? Or Françoise, if you want to talk?
Maybe I should mention that I have been participating in this so-called platform cooperativism course for the past 1 month. And I think that one of the things that these people also do is to try to map out which, what they call the platform cooperative is doing what in which part of the world. And I think it's particularly important to them because inherently this is an IT project where you try to redefine the sort of competition by, instead of Uber, instead of whatever else, just, what if the workers create their own platform? And it's because of this, one major part is reducing the double work of, if somebody has already worked on this software, why not reuse it? So I guess a very common theme. That's one thing that I noticed. And I also, 2 weeks ago, I think, I heard about this murmurations project coming out of the UK, I think. I don't know if you've heard. And I think somehow they're related to what's going to happen. There's some session tomorrow, intermapping project. Are you involved with that?
Hi, Jaco, this is Jason again. I don't know if you can see. Yes, that's the meeting of the group of people who have been working in the mapping exchanges, let's say. So, this is part of that, but there are many others. And we did invite people behind Murmurations and Open Co-op So hopefully someone will be there for that. Can you tell us a few words about yourself?
Okay, I came into this about a month or two ago because I was asked to join this group in Japan that was trying to create a solidarity economy website. Unfortunately, I for now, I think I resigned from that. I think it's just not for me at the right time for me to join. However, having said that though, regardless of this particular group, I think the mapping itself is almost like infrastructure, and there could be multiple organizations requiring the similar kind of databases. So this is why I'm going back to this murmurations or like things like that. It seems to me that there'll be always organizations and efforts and surveys, and sort of like in order to really engage, maybe what we need is some kind of protocol, so that what people need to do is to come up with some kind of standardization of data, so that all you need to do is just publish that, just like the way the internet works, you know, with the domain names and all that. And you know, that's my thought, and that's my background. And I really, until a few months ago, I had never even heard of solidarity economy. So I was mostly interested in worker cooperatives, starting one, and that's how I came to know these things.
Okay, thank you for your intervention. We also have two questions. Françoise and Berenice want to talk. Donc, Françoise first, maybe, and after Berenice.
Yes, hello. I wanted to say that I think that could be interesting to have complement to this mind map. One who could be an encyclopedia with the definitions of the different concepts that are appearing in this this open mind map. And one could be, like I'm doing socio-eco, documents of descriptions of the day-to-day practice that are showed in this mind map, because this one shows more the relationship, but it should be interesting also to have what are the day-to-day practice. So two complements, one on the concepts and one on the description of the initiatives.
Yeah, thank you, Françoise. I agree with you. I think it's very important to define, and so, from my experience and with Andrea, we were talking about that. But during this project, something was very interesting. It was when we translated some concepts from English, because Jules, his survey is in English with English. I think, way to movement, a way to definitions maybe, and some translation was very complex in French. For example, when I asked an organization about the word radical, and the term radical doesn't have the same imaginaire in French or in English or other words like that. So I think it's very important work to do maybe, but to clarify maybe the concept and the different way to think it in different parts of the world. And Françoise, you know, I think this complexity, because you do it a lot with socio-eco. So, okay, Berenice, if you want to talk.
Yes, thank you, Cedric. I want to talk about movement for solidarity economy, and we are very interested because we think that it's a great tool for the territories. And what I can say, we have a multiplicity of social and solidarity initiative or about transition. It's really rich. This multiplicity is a richness, but also it's like I don't know the name exactly, hindrance, because there is not enough cooperation. I mean, on the basic territory. So we need to re-examine together the challenges of which society we want together. And now in Occitania, we are engaged in action research on a micro territory with a citizen collective on transition in a rural area. And we are working with Atecopol, which is a sort of association of researchers about transition. We are working with University of Toulouse, and especially geography researchers, and a very special organization of popular education through the theater. And we are going to make a mapping on this micro territory. And what can I propose if you want? I would like, we could make a link with Transformative Economies Lab on such an experimentation, because it will be this year. And I find it could be interesting to make a link on a concrete expression and see how it works. So my question is, can we think about it? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Berenice. Is Jules or Jason want to answer, because I'm also part of the of this organization. So, or Andrea, maybe.
Well, what I can say is that when we initially started discussing this with Jules, is Jules still here? I don't see. Oh yeah, there you are.
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry, yeah.
It's we were saying, what if we try to apply this on a local base, on a territorial level, and we were thinking of Barcelona because there was so much, richness and intersection of different forms of real new transformative, whatever economy you want to call it. So that hopefully we can do maybe in the next round, if we will have the forum in October in Barcelona, which will have a different forum dimension, but it will be more directly linked with the Catalan Fair of Solidarity Economy, which is not just Solidarity Economy, but it's a very important event every year. And but Berenice, if there is something that could be done, and there's already a group that is promoting it in Occitanie and France, that would be amazing. I mean, it could give a specific focus to the mapping, and it could help the local actors to understand better where they are situated. Jules, what do you think?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the link that Berenice sent. Yeah, it looks really, very interesting. I think it's great to do more specific geographic focuses. Absolutely, and I think we did talk about Barcelona, the economy there, because there's so much going on. But your initiative looks great as well, Berenice. You could do, one could focus on the Quebec social economy, for instance, or Emilia Romagna. One could do examples all around the world of where this is happening in a concentrated level. So I think it's great. We should definitely talk about that.
Yes, what I want to add is that we are beginning with a micro territory, but next year we want to expand this, and we want to work on other territories in Occitania. And of course, we are really very, we are neighbors of Barcelona, of course, and we want to build links with them and so on. But what I want to add is that it's important to have a focus on rural territories today, because it seems like yesterday Cedric was saying in the webinar with youth and SSE, it seems that now our territories are really changing, and we can observe that many young people and many people from the cities are going now to the countryside and modify everything, and they come with new ideas, new projects, and especially very many transition projects. And I think also that a lot of people now are interested in connect political views with solidarity economy and transition economy.
Okay, thank you, Berenice. I would like maybe to hear Sonia, so that Sonia write on the conversation. If you want to talk directly, maybe could be great to hear you.
Hello. Okay. Yeah, I got most of it, and I was trying to find the last information about the thingy I wanted to share you, but can't find it. It's not in this computer, and I can't access my associative email address from this one. Sorry, it's that the points on from the confinement. I found myself with one computer where I could do the video conference, and the other one where I have all my files. So sometimes half a meter distance. And the point is,
Sonia, could you present yourself?
Okay, sorry. In fact, I have the sensation I've seen already most of you, but you know, in different situations. My name is Sonia. I'm originally from Barcelona, but I moved to France 18 years ago in the French Alps, and it's here where I've developed my adult life and where I got implicated in all the points on. First, blocking my ecologic sensibility because of my family context, and suddenly 6 years ago we get freed and I'm starting to find my way, my place on the planet. So I discovered transition networks, and that conducts me to the colibris, whatever. So I have a sensation that I've done a kind of path. So today, after energy and food cooking, and I'm mostly on the question of agroecology and the nature connection through the food production. But it's just a focus. It's not a barrier. It's a focus, and then I try to get realistic that in my picture there's many other subjects I would like to go, but it's not possible because days that doesn't have 1,000 hours. So the point for me is that just I would like, you know, I think on a tool like this, and I like on my personal scale, it's probably like, you know, on a fractal already scale of representation. Say I'm implicated in a few number of organizations, and already implicated is maybe a term to adapt. It depends on the subject, it depends on the distance, it depends on the evolution, or year-long or project-based or whatever. And how is there something it's going to be able to kind of mapping with a progression, with keeping actualized information about people like me, and for me it would be also useful to see it from other people, that as we use in the terms on the citizen archipel, also les jours heureux in France, they say we are pirogue. I consider myself a pirogue. I spend half of my time putting in touch and in contact organization and people that meet their sensibilities, because sometimes it's needs and capabilities, but sometimes it's just sensibilities. And say it could be really nice to have a kind of central repository of that kind of things. And when I'm not a literacy person, you give me a manual on how to proceed on 500 pages, I will never be able to read it, but I cope it much better when I sit on a graphic side. That's why when Jules presented that the tool in a little break in April in Barcelona last year, I thought it had a great potential, even though it was not completely operative at that time. But the point for me is that might be for me an element to give me some repairs on the domains where I do or don't still know directly. I don't have the personal touch, I don't have the connection, the cultural capacity to exchange, as you said, Cedric, the complexity was adding you the fact of being wider than just English language. I was yesterday in one of the conference about the inter-movements, whatever, and there was a missing of comprehension of two people were speaking in Spanish, but one was mother language and the other not. And one was talking about, we've established tables of the subject, whatever, the other telling me, no, I mean, not only tables, because that should be open to capacity, whatever. I say, hey, stop, there is a cultural misunderstanding there. In the Latin American culture, Latino, because the English spoken origin, Spanish spoken origin, sobremesa, which we say is like the big discussions just after the meal on the table, is where we have the best exchanging and open-minded and tolerance and is inclusive by nature. So you're talking about the same thing and considering you're not. Yes. So that kind of little things, I think it passes by a human sensibility. I hope I'm wrong, but I see it difficult. We're gonna be able to reflect all that subtleties on a digital tool. So for me, the point that really challenged me is to say how we get a tool that is really useful and really clear and keeps on data. The data is actualized easily and frequently because people feel implicated to do it, but it doesn't deny the importance of the very human connection. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Thanks a lot for your contribution. Very interesting. Do we have other people who want to talk, to react, or to ask questions? Jason?
Well, I want to hear other people now, but I think what Sonia is saying is very, very relevant. Yesterday and the day before in the European conference, we were talking about the idea of archipel, of archipelagos, and of how to bridge with the pirogues from one to the other. And yeah, there's limit. I mean, we can only ask digital tools what they can do. We cannot substitute human relations with digital relations, but they can complement or they can help give some means, some more means that maybe we don't have. Tomorrow in the intermapping group, maybe we will have someone from Communictaire, which is a sort of, but it's not right to define it like that. It's a sort of Facebook dedicated to actors of civil society and of different initiatives that are on the territories, and that does this sort of connection, more on the interpersonal connection and on inter-organizational connection. What we're doing with Transformative Economies Lab and the work that Jules and his team had done is to give something, to try to offer something that can help visualize and filter what we want to know about ourselves. So as actors inside initiatives and others, and how we're relating on the political level, how we're relating on thematic levels, and how on a cultural difference we position ourselves. So it's one of many tools, and I don't think we'll ever be able or want to centralize everything in one.
So is that the map itself, is that available for the general public for use?
The map, the Real Economy Lab map?
Yes.
Yeah, that's there on the internet. The whole point is that it's for the public to use.
Is it? So what? Sorry, what's the URL?
Okay, I'll send it to you. Sorry, maybe it's not being sent around. Put it in now.
Okay.
And the map that's being created by Transformative Economies by Cedric, that'll be available at some point in the next month or so.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So yes, we put every links, I think, in the conversation. Maybe if you need some other link, ask us, but you can find everything here. Okay, so if anybody else has a reaction, I saw Thomas. Maybe you never talk. If you want to talk.
Yes, I could say something. I would say we need more cooperation and a distribution between nations, because I'm from Germany, and the most goal here is to get as much surplus as possible from the international free market. And I think that's one thing that's have to change. So we should not have the goal to just put on international free markets everywhere, and like things like TTIP or things like that. So the point is that we need in the international area more cooperation, more distribution, more priority for the essentials, and more regulation. So I think the problem is that at least in Germany, most people or most politicals or most newspapers say it's just it's enough to get free markets everywhere, and then the invisible hand will do everything in social way, or it's a little bit difficult in Germany. That was my point. That's enough. My English is not so good, so yes.
No, thanks a lot. It's good to hear also German accent, and yes, we very relevant what you're saying, and we are working on that, on creating other kind of economy model. And I think that yes, this kind of project is not going to transform everything, but just to connect, to understand better, and it's part of the puzzle, as I don't remember who said that. So yes, thanks Thomas for your intervention. So I think we hear everybody. Is anyone want to add something before concluding this conference?
Yep. Yes. Sorry, I take the chance, as I thought there might be someone else, but there was a couple of things, just like points of reflection. Sorry, that's my energy today, it seems. One of them is the one I've written down. Is the on that initiative, French initiative is now running. It's just in the middle of its preview time of about 1 month for a hackathon on collecting, structuring, and creating a platform on the resources of food resilience. But it could be, at beginning I got a sensation, could be just another database of many informations. We're going to be soon just stuck in it. But what I found particularly interesting on their reflection is that to get a very good component of UX, user experience design. So they're thinking that they've established kind of 9 profiles on about this subject. What profiles? What specific needs or expectations would be to interact with a platform, and so create paths mostly oriented inside the information, and to give just enough parameters but not too much for someone who comes in and get a nice experience and keep on in contact, which I think for technophiles, the presentation we've seen, I only saw the end, sorry, might sound like great, like wow, nice, a new tool, a new little gadget. But I bet I show it to most of the partners on the paysan agriculture, and they would just say, "Oh, stop! It's too much for me," you know. So that was the great point for me to be just like a distant star to tend to. But on the other side is also the question of interoperability. What about the groups have already done a great job on collecting an app, further than just saying, okay, you can be our sources, you can give us data and we can reflect it on the global central index or whatever. I said establish bi-directional compatibility, so that would establish a permanent partnership, so would be mutually nourishing, and recognizing and enrolling, motivating people are already in that campaigning. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, I do have something, a comment to make. Have you heard of a book called The Blessed Unrest by Paul Hawken? He put together a database that at one point had something like 1 million groups throughout the world that are, you know, doing the good work like what we're trying to do. And he went on to other things, but there are people that are trying to hold on to some of that. And I will try to do a little research to see if I can locate it. But it's a huge database and it could be useful. Okay, I guess, yeah, that's it for now.
Great.
Well, thanks, Jack and Sonia, and all of you. I think that this work of interoperability, that's the term that the technical term that we use to try to connect different platforms and databases, is something we've been struggling for now, I think 5-6 years. Françoise, you were a bit also in that with Socioeco and Vincent Calam. And is François still here? No, but several people have been working on this issue from Germany, from Italy, from France, from UK, and there's both a methodological and a technological issue, you know, how and what do we use, and going beyond these obstacles is not easy, but there are some, I wouldn't define them exactly protocols, but something similar, which is based on the semantic web technologies now that are available and that are making it a bit easier also to overcome the linguistic, cultural diversity that we want to include in doing these collections of aggregations, let's say, of information that need to be decentralized and federated and not centralized and proprietary. So that means that we need patience and we need to have agreements, and so even before we start working on the exact technological code. You need to politically agree on how to do it, methodologically discuss what options there are, be updated on the technology so it doesn't become obsolete right away, and so on and so forth. So if you're fascinated with these kind of things, you can participate in the intermapping group. Is it tomorrow? I think at 12. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it's in the program under the title Intermapping.
It's been discussed in the platform co-op circle of friends, because I guess a lot of people see this as a distinct advantage of what you may call the solidarity economy or the socialist side, because this kind of cooperation orientation is not the capitalists have. You know, they're not interested in cooperation and interoperability. So this is more natural to this kind of side of the economy. So
yeah, and it would be really interesting from Japan to have some more input. Our network REPES has some people in Japan connected to the Seikatsu network, to some organizations, but we don't have a map of who's there in this. So it would be really interesting and useful to know more about it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Thank you, Yasu. I think if everybody said everything, we can close this conference. Jules, do you want to add something to conclude?
No, just thank you everyone for turning up. It's a great conversation, and yeah, looking forward to getting the next map up with Cedric and taking this project forward. And thank you very much to everybody, you know, to Andrea and Jason as well for getting involved in this.
Okay, so thank you everybody, and maybe we keep in touch. We have the contacts, and maybe we see in another conference.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao, bye.
Bye, merci.
Yeah, bye-bye. It was really good.
Je suis resté.
Voilà.
J'attends
Ouais, moi
Nathalie.
aussi.
Bon, bah, c'est bon, ça c'est fait.
Ouais, j'ai mis un peu dans le désordre sur le pad des
Mais en fait,
choses.
j'ai oublié de te dire, je suis désolé, mais j'avais fait un pad aussi, mais de toute façon, le mien, de toute façon, les pads, personne, comme il n'y avait pas de traduction, personne n'allait dessus.
Bah, ce que tu peux faire, c'est si tu as écrit quelque chose dans ton pad.
J'ai juste recopié toute la conversation, c'est tout.
Ah bon, bah, j'ai fait la même chose, donc ça ne doit pas être plus malin. Mais c'est
Voilà.
dans le tableau, donc on pourra le retrouver. Donc ça, c'est déjà
Ah, t'as mis dans le
bien.
tableau?
Oui, oui, moi j'avais créé le pad, mais depuis plusieurs jours. Hein.
Oui, non, j'avais oublié en fait. Mais c'est tout à l'heure, quand j'étais avec Nathalie, j'y ai pensé, je me dis merde, j'ai pas fait encore.
Ah ouais, t'as pas fait le lien. Ok, ben on se retrouve. Je sais
C'est
plus.
16h30.
Quoi?
RIPES, là, l'évaluation d'impact social.
C'est pas 16h plutôt? Je sais plus.
Ouais, 16h, 18h.
Ouais, et après, moi j'enfile sur. Je vous quitterai un peu avant. Ok, voilà. Bon.
Et ok, Nathalie, j'imagine qu'elle n'est pas là, je vais l'appeler pour qu'elle m'envoie la vidéo après.
Mais il n'y aura pas de vidéo. Hein.
Ah si, elle a enregistré.
Non, mais ça fait que du son. Si tu veux, je crois pas que ça fera autre chose que du son. Ça m'étonnerait. On verra. Hein. Mais
Bah si, ça marche, hein, t'inquiète.
ouais.
Bon, d'ailleurs, on va partir parce qu'on va rester sur la vidéo.
Ah mince.
Allez,
Au revoir.
ciao.